Welcome to Extraterrestrial Reality. The United States Air Force allegedly has a alien implant removal program. A few weeks ago, I received an email message from a person who lives out west in the United States. I'm not going to say exactly where this person lives, and this person wants to remain anonymous. He's a former Air Force propulsion specialist. And he contacted me, and he believes that this is something that people need to know about, and he believes that there are other people like him that know about this program that have been exposed to this, and maybe this will be something that will cause some of them to start speaking out, because he believes that there has to be most certainly other people who were exposed to this program. Now, this person, again, he doesn't want his name to be known, and that's understandable. And I did check out I looked into it and make sure that this person is a real person, and I did find out that yes, indeed, this person actually was in the Air Force. So he's a real person. It wasn't some hoax or something like that, as far as I can tell. This person is real. The phone number was real. The guy's name is real. This person actually lives in the place where he says he lives. So let's get that out of the way right off the bat here. So anyway, he contacts me, sends me this email, explains everything, most of it anyway. I didn't understand at first what I was reading. I never heard of anything like this before. I never heard of that the military has an alien implant removal program. But apparently, according to this guy, at least the Air Force does. And I guess if the Air Force does, I guess that would be to go for Navy flyers too, right? But anyway. So he contacts me and he says that what happened was in the early 2000s, not long after he joined the Air Force. I guess there was a physical that was administered, and then some months went by, and then him and two other guys apparently were approached and told that they needed to travel to this naval medical facility in San Diego and to have some sort of a surgery. He had no idea what was going on. He had no clue. But anyway, so he ended up having to travel out there. There was a friend of his apparently went with him, from what I gathered I talked to this guy on the phone, in addition to reading this email that he sent me. So he travels out to San Diego, and once he's in this medical facility, he meets privately with this doctor, and this doctor has a X-ray showing him an X-ray of this guy's head, and he pointed out that there was a Tylenol sized object embedded inside of his jaw. And the doctor started asking this Air Force specialist, did you ever have any strange experiences? All these weird questions he started asking him. Did you ever see anything strange in the sky? And the guy did. He said when he was a kid, him and his mother had seen a flying saucer hovering in the sky for only not momentarily, for a few seconds, about 30 seconds, hovering there, and then took off at tremendous speed. And so he told the doctor this, and then eventually the doctor explained to this guy that what's inside you is an alien implant, and they want us to remove it, right? And not only did they want to have it removed, but he actually saw a carrier box that once it was removed, it was to be placed in this carrier box and sent off to some research facility at Edwards Air Force Base. Again, can I prove all of this? No. Is this guy telling me the truth? I don't know. But again, let's think about it. It does make sense, though, doesn't it? We'll get into that later. However, this doctor said to him. This doctor said because of his Hippocratic oath, he doesn't feel that he doesn't feel like that it was right to remove this object from him. He doesn't think that it would be a good thing to do because it would scar him and other reasons, right? So apparently this doctor was just going to come up with an excuse for his superiors and not take this object out and send it off to this lab like he was ordered to do. And instead the doctor said, told him, well, you have some wisdom teeth coming in, even though the wisdom teeth weren't causing many problems, then we'll remove these wisdom teeth now for you, so to prevent any issues down the road. So he didn't go there it ended up that he did not travel to this medical facility for nothing. He traveled there and he ended up getting his wisdom teeth taken out. So the implant stayed there. The implant stayed there. Now, eventually, he did have to get that thing taken out at some point. I'm not going to get into all of that because, again, I want to make sure that I don't want to say anything that might lead to the identification of this person. This person really wants to remain anonymous. The only people he's ever told, besides me, according to him, are people in his immediate family. So that's why I want to keep it, say as little as possible. But the bottom line is, this guy claims that there is an alien implant removal program, and he was told so by this doctor, and that was the reason that he was sent to this medical facility, was to have this thing removed. The doctor didn't do it because of, he stated, because of his Hippocratic oath. The doctor also told him that if the day ever was to come that this thing didn't show up on an X-ray, that and you don't have any scars, that means these alien beings removed it. Or if it ever turns up where you do have it removed and you do have scarring, that means some human beings removed it. That's the kind of strange things this doctor was telling this guy. But it was confirmed that there was an object inside of him later on during a subsequent operation years later. But I guess what this goes to, what we're talking about here, we're talking about an alien implant removal program. Are there other people out there that were in the service that had experiences like this, that were told, hey, you got to get this thing removed from you, there's an alien implant in you? Were they told about this? This guy says he was actually told by this doctor that he had an alien implant, and that the military wanted it to be removed. Now, apparently, this guy wasn't somebody who was flying around in aircraft. He was somebody who was working on them. Okay, so I guess from this doctor's point of view, another reason for not taking it out, I guess, was because, well, he's working on the aircraft, he's not flying around in them. Okay, maybe that's the reason why the doctor felt it was okay to maybe let this one slide. But I guess you could understand why the Air Force would be concerned with something like this. If somebody has an alien implant in them and they're going to be flying fighter jets, well, what might that might lead to something, right? What if they get abducted in mid-flight? What if the aliens? What nobody really knows what these things are doing. Why they put these implants in them? What if somehow the aliens use that thing inside them, the implant, to somehow control a pilot while they're in the air and do something? I guess there are reasons why they have to do this. If in fact this is true, again, I don't really know. I can't prove it. All I have is the word of this guy. But again, I've never heard of anything like this before. But it does make sense, though, that they would have a program like this. I mean, for one thing, let's face it. If you accept the reality that there's a presence here that's non-human, right? An intelligent non-human presence on this planet, right? That has technology that exceeds anything that we have. Once you accept that, I do, right? I do for a lot of reasons, as many people do. I've had my own experiences. I saw one of these beings, right? So I know that there's something here. I've seen one of these craft up close, right? So I know that something's going on. So once you accept that part of it, right? You accept the reality of it, and you understand that there have been many, many people throughout the decades that have claimed to have alien implants, and some of them have been removed, and we'll talk about that later. And they've been removed, and they have properties that are unearthly. So I guess it makes sense that the Air Force, the military, would be concerned about people coming into the Air Force, right, or other branches of the service that are going to be in planes flying around, right, and they have alien implants inside of them. So they would want to have those things removed, because who knows what those things are being used for by these beings that are here. To a lot of people out there, this sounds, I'm certain of it, it sounds absolutely insane. Because it sounds insane to me as I'm saying it right now. However, once you accept the reality that there's something here, once you accept the reality that these beings are putting implants inside of people, you had people like Dr. Roger Lear actually remove implants from people. Actually, Jeremy Corbell, the filmmaker and UFO investigator, did a documentary on this some years back. It was called Patient 17, and it was about the 17th person, the 17th operation that Lear had conducted on an alien abductee to remove an alien implant. And then these things get examined by other scientists, and they're determined, well, they're unearthly. We have no explanation for it. So it's, I mean, once you accept that there's something here, right, and that all these people who say that they get abducted by aliens, and some of the people who say that they actually were implanted with things, right, once you start to accept that, then you can understand that, yeah, okay, if that's real, if you do accept it, then you would understand why the military would have concerns with regard to this kind of thing. They would definitely not want to have somebody flying around in a jet fighter that has alien implants inside of him or her, right? They would want to make sure that those things are removed before they ever get to that point. But anyway, the person I was talking to again, he was concerned. Like, he thinks that he wants to get this out there. He says, this is what he said in his email. He said he wanted to get this event out to the world so anyone else like him can start adding things up and figure this out. And he goes on to say that he saw his first saucer as a kid with his mom, and it was in broad daylight and in perfect weather. It was out west. He said it was only 100 yards away. Okay, this thing was only 100 yards away from them, and then it disappeared. I ended up, when I talked to him on the phone, he expanded on this. He said it disappeared from sight, and then he, he had an interest in UFOs since then, starting from that point. Like, as he grew older, he thought about them. And that was actually, he said, one of the reasons he joined the Air Force. He wanted to learn about new technology and fighter jets and all that kind of stuff. He wanted to work on them, and he thought that would be something he had an interest in it. And he thought that incident when he was a kid helped to that desire to be part of something like the Air Force to flourish. So he joins the Air Force Base at Edwards Air Force Base, and he said he said the doctor actually also told him that there was a lot of patients that he sees. This doctor that he had met said there are a lot of patients that he sees. He's saying that he hopes that more people find out about this, more people who know that they've been exposed to this program and will step forward and speak out about having alien implants removed from them while they're in the Air Force. Okay, he thinks that this will help maybe spur other people to do what he's doing right now by going public with this. He also said he never was signed. He as far as he knows, he said he doesn't remember ever signing any non-disclosure agreements about this, and he thinks that was because, how could he? I guess because if he was the target of an operation, and maybe he's not even sure if the doctor was supposed to tell him what he was telling him. That was another aspect. He doesn't know how this works. But the doctor did apparently tell him the truth about what was inside of him. And so he doesn't believe that by talking about this that he's breaking any laws, because he never did sign any non-disclosure agreements. But anyway, I just find this highly fascinating, and especially, if it's true, and it does, again, it makes sense. Do we want to have pilots out there in the military flying around who have in the past been implanted with alien objects? We don't know, and I understand exactly. Anyone could understand why the military would not like that. If somebody has an alien implant inside them, they're not going to let them inside of a fighter jet. No way. I just can't imagine it. But apparently, this guy wasn't someone. He was someone who was working on the plane. So I guess that maybe that doctor that examined him and told him that he felt it was a violation of his Hippocratic oath to take that thing out of him. Maybe he felt like, okay, I can't let this one slide and say it's inoperable, because the doctor told him that if he had removed it, it would have caused one of his lower lip to become paralyzed. That was another problem. So that's why he was able to get away with not pulling it out like he was ordered to, not removing the object. Anyway, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about alien implants. Okay, we are back. Now, I guess I'm wondering what would happen if I were to contact the Pentagon about this and ask them if they do in fact have a alien implant removal program. I would imagine that they're probably going to say no, no matter what, right? Just no matter what. Like, say if it is true, they're gonna say no. If it's not true, well, of course they'll say no. But anyway, for instance, just recently I was talking about there was that article in the Liberation Times where Susan Go was basically said that that Arrow has not discovered any verifiable information to substantiate claims that any programs regarding the possession of reverse engineering of extraterrestrial materials have existed in the past or exist currently, and also that she also clarified later that the extraterrestrial also includes non-human intelligences. So they're denying everything, right? They're denying all of this. They deny any knowledge of extraterrestrials. So why even bother contacting them if they just denied it like 2 weeks ago again, that they have ever recovered any sort of extraterrestrial materials, or that they have ever come across any sort of extraterrestrial or non-human intelligences, right? If they said that just 2 weeks ago, what's the point in even asking them? Because they're going to deny this. Of course, we don't even need to ask them. They've already made their statement with regard to this. So whether it exists or not, they're not going to tell us. They're not going to comment on this, though, other than to deny it if they were to. But anyway, I was looking. There was an article here in MUFON that I was looking at regarding alien implant removals, the before and after effects. So you look through this and you realize why. I guess the Air Force would be concerned about this. I mean, most particularly the Air Force. Anybody that's going to be flying around in military craft, right, is going to be concerned about pilots that have alien implants inside of them, and they would want to have those implants removed before allowing anyone to get in those planes and fly around. So if anyone out there is in the Air Force that has been exposed to this program and has had implants removed from their person, maybe you should step forward. Let's start hearing about this going. This is a new one on me. I don't remember reading this anywhere. I mean, for all I know, maybe there's so many UFO books out there, so many different people talking about this. Maybe it has been something that's been mentioned before. I just don't remember coming across an Air Force alien implant removal program until I was contacted by this person who wants to remain anonymous. But anyway, in this article, I just want to go through some of this article that was in MUFON. It says, alien implant removals before and after effects. It says, several years after the surgical removal of their alleged alien implants, 5 individuals courageously accepted to take part in an interview to discuss their before and after effects. All persons, 1 male and 4 females, shared one thing in common: UFO encounters and contact with non-human alien beings. Dr. Roger Lear, a podiatrist from Thousand Oaks, California, founder of FIRST, Fund for Interactive Research in Space Technology, and Daryl Sims, a certified hypnotherapist, co-founder of FIRST, an experienced UFO investigator of over 27 years, orchestrated the successful surgeries with a team of competent medical professionals and volunteers. The first set of implant surgeries took place on August 19, 1995 at Lear's Podiatry Clinic in Thousand Oaks, California. Pat Paranilio, a 47-year-old male from Houston, Texas, and Mary Jones, a pseudonym, 52, also from Texas, had the anomalous objects appear in x-rays, although both UFO experiencers had no record of previous surgeries. Both individuals were investigated by Daryl Sims of UFON, chief investigator for the Houston UFO Network, and referred to Dr. Roger Lear for surgery. It says here that the alleged implants were removed from the first set of surgeries, and they were studied by 2 different pathologists. And at different institutes. Tests were conducted at the National Institute of Science in New Mexico Tech, and other independent sources. But that is not all, according to the article. It says, while these unusual objects were being evaluated for scientific study, another set of implant surgeries took place on May 18, 1996. 2 women from this second set of surgeries came forward for this interview and follow-up study. Dorothy O'Hara, a 61-year-old female from Palm Springs, California, and Alice Levy, 40, from Newberry Park, California, each had similar objects removed from their left lower leg. Another woman, Alicia Davidson, 37, who has had numerous UFO and alien encounters, had a rare crystalline-like object removed from her foot in January of 1997. And then they had to talk about the findings. It says here, the pathology reports of the first 2 surgeries revealed that the metallic objects were encased in a very dense, tough gray membrane consisting of proteinaceous coagulum. Well, I can't pronounce these words, folks. I'm not a doctor. I'll try it again, though. It says proteinaceous coagulum, hemoserodin, and pure keratin. More simply, blood protein and skin cells that are usually found in the superficial layer of the skin. The tough biological cocoons encasing the implants were also found to contain nerve proprioceptors, nerve and pressure cells of the wrong tissue type for that part of the body. These implant cocoons are fluoresced a bright green color in the presence of an ultraviolet light source. The implants from the 2 women from the second set of surgeries did not exhibit metallic properties like the implants from the first set of surgeries. In fact, the spheroid whitish objects did not contain the tough biological outer jackets or fluoresce from a UV light source. These types of implants, possibly biological, also lack the expected inflammatory response, according to the pathology reports. The crystalline-like object excised from the foot in the most recent surgery also lacked the tough gray outer membrane and had virtually no inflammatory response, as in the other implant surgeries. Test results from the first set of implants revealed that the lamellar, needle-shaped metallic objects in question are basically meteoric in origin, containing at least 11 different elements. And then it goes on here. It says, in an interview with Alien Encounters magazine, Daryl Sims commented on the uncommon, non-rejecting human response to the implants. It seems that the dense fibrous membrane may have been the person's own surface skin. If this is the case, it appears that the metallic objects are wrapped in a sheath of keratinish material surface skin. Nerve fibers then surround the tissue and appear to be attached to larger nerves. The fact that both persons from the first set of surgeries objected verbally and physically could be an indication of this nervous system connection. Mr. Sims believes the indications are very strong that these implants are extraterrestrial in origin. But he concedes, whatever the scientists say who have examined the objects say is what we will say. Daryl Sims has stated that a scientific peer review of all tests must be done before more specifics can be released. But anyway, I want to get into the part here where they talk about the after effects of these things. It says we were asking questions. They were asking different questions to these people. It says, did you experience any UFO sightings, alien abductions, odd dreams, missing times, or paranormal events just prior to or after the implant surgery? Pat Paranello revealed, yes, an unusual set of events took place with another witness involving an orange glowing UFO one evening about a week before the surgery. After the surgery, I noticed that my psychic abilities seemed to decrease. So you have one guy here saying that, yeah, I've had psychic abilities, and then they disappeared after we had the surgery. Dorothy said, another abductee said, about a week before the surgery, I had a dreamlike abduction experience involving many other people in a large locker room type facility, waiting in line for what seemed to be a shot in the backs of our necks. Also, right before an appointment to meet one of Daryl Sims' associates for an interview regarding the implant surgery, I and another woman had a strange experience. It was like getting stuck in a time warp. I ended up being very late for the appointment, and then, late one evening after I returned from the surgery, I had an alien encounter that I couldn't clearly recall. Both Licia and Alice did not recall any unusual events soon before or after the implant surgery. Mary experienced a rare pain and swelling in her toe and foot about a week before the surgery. At that time, Mary revealed, I knew exactly where the objects were in my foot. I could feel them. Prior to that, Mary had no pain or sensations of that kind in her toe. What was really strange, Mary admitted, was that the moment I stepped out of the car to meet Daryl Sims just prior to the surgery, my pain stopped. The real question one may wonder about is, now that the implants have been removed, will the aliens continue to come back and abduct the abductees? All individuals except Mary Jones were able to answer with a resounding yes. Alice elaborated on an abduction she had 2 months after the implant surgery. I retired to bed early due to a headache. My husband awoke at 1 a.m. because the whole bedroom lit up like daylight. He looked at the clock, reached over to touch me, and found that I was gone. Paradoxically, my husband quickly went back to sleep. The next day I felt very ill. I don't recall anything during the night, but I noticed the next day that my dog had nervously clawed several areas in the house as if he were trying to escape something frightening. As to change, again, let me just stop there for a minute. Let's just talk about Dr. Stephen Greer's claims that all these aliens are here. They're all nice. They're all here on a goodwill mission. Continuing here, it says, as to changes in health, mood, dreams, or psychic phenomena after the surgery, all 5 agreed as to some type of change. Mary Jones simply stated that she felt a sense of peace after her objects were removed. Dorothy commented, I felt a tremendous sense of relief after the surgery. Licia remarked, yes, I had a dramatic and immediate mood lift after the object was removed from my foot. I also stopped having pain and the weird watery sensation surrounding my foot. The most striking changes were noted by Dorothy. I had a severe diuretic effect and lost much water weight a week following the surgery. Then my health progressively worsened and I developed angina and edema. This heart problem was a recurring complication from a previous illness I had in my late 20s. I also experienced extreme fatigue and could not concentrate. The illness lasted about a month, after which my energy and health returned with more vigor. My creativity and mental clarity improved remarkably. She's a writer. I had a startling improvement in my memory where I was able to recall a previous alien abduction experience from 1991. In other words, it was the first time I was able to pierce through a screen memory from an abduction, although it took me 3 days to process the memory. It was difficult mentally and emotionally. In hindsight, after the implant surgery and recovery from illness, I felt detoxified. Pat, on the other hand, noticed a more subjective change and simply stated, yes, a part of me which remains hidden has undergone quite a few changes of paradigms. So let me just stop there. I'm going to leave this article. This is a pretty long article that MUFON has here. Let me tell you, it's very interesting, isn't it? Like, these people's lives seem to have improved. They feel better. They felt better. They could think more clearly after their abduction experiences. Isn't that interesting? I mean, then you wonder, and this again gets back to what we're talking about here. The main topic here of today, right, is the fact that somebody's stating, we don't know, it's alleged, right? We can't say for certain, that the Air Force has an alien implant removal program. Obviously, let's think about it. If this is the kind of results after having something removed like this, they could think more clearly, they remember things better, right? It seems like maybe something was maybe these implants are somewhat controlling people, right? When they are when they are put inside them, right? They are controlling people, perhaps. You would think that the Air Force would be concerned about something like this, especially people who are flying in airplanes, jet fighters. You can't have them with implants in them being controlled by some outside non-human intelligences, right? So it all makes sense, doesn't it? It's starting to make sense to me. That's why, again, I never heard of anything like this before. But it would be interesting. I like to see some other people step forward. I believe this. This guy that I talked to, again, I want to point out here. I want to point out this guy. He was sincere. He from the way you talk to somebody, right? It didn't seem like he was making this up. Like there was things like you could just tell. You were talking to certain people, right? If you have a feel for it. But again, he's a real person. He's saying that this is what happened. He wants other people to start stepping forward like him. Is he telling the truth or not? I don't know. Not 100%. He sounded legitimate to me when I was talking to him on the phone. Right? I'm not an expert on people who are liars or anything like that. And why would he make something like this up? Right? I mean, I never even thought about something like this before. This is something that never even crossed my mind, that people in the military would be concerned about other people, about new recruits coming in that have alien implants inside of them. But now when you actually accept this reality that there are extraterrestrials here, or whatever, non-human intelligence is here, once you accept that reality, and that these people who are these alien abductees, you accept that that's real, and that some of these people do have implants. These implants, actually physical implants, have been removed from people, as we're talking about in this article right here, right? They've been removed from people. We don't know what their purposes are. It could be more than just tracking people. For tracking purposes, it could be for controlling purposes. So of course the Air Force would want to look into this. Of course they would. And a lot of us have accepted the idea of, I have accepted a long time ago that there most certainly is a cover-up. You just heard what David Grush has been saying. There are all these whistleblowers lining up to be talking to Congress right now, possibly public hearings later this month, right? So once you start accepting this, right, and you pull the curtain all the way back and they reveal the wizard, well, here you go, right? All of this stuff, all these people aren't lying all for all these years. These aliens do show up and they do things to people. I don't know what they did to me way back when I was a kid, but I know that there was one of them in my room when I was a little kid. I know that for a fact. If they ever visited me personally like that, with the alien being standing right in front of me, I don't have any recollection of that. But for that one time when I was a kid, there was no question in my mind that this thing was in my room and it was not human, right? And it had control over everyone else in the household somehow. It basically shut them down somehow, and there was some sort of a sound, an electronic humming sound that you could hear. And then, of course, years later, 1994, I saw that object up close and personal. These things are real; they're really here, right? I don't know how to. I'm telling you right now, we need to get to the bottom of this. It's time to end this cover-up. What the hell's going on here? I mean, the Air Force is has to be doing this. They would have to be doing this. It actually makes sense. Even if this guy is lying, right, you would have to believe, right, that if you accept all of this, you would have to believe that the Air Force would most certainly be doing this. Right? There would be an alien implant removal program, especially for people flying around in jet aircraft. I mean, these people that had the implants removed, you see the difference before and after. It's incredible. I know how crazy this might seem to some people, but once you accept the reality that there is this presence here, then you have to begin to realize that there are obviously behind the scenes that people just things are happening that people don't know about. For our service members, when they go into certain, like for instance, you go to the Air Force, you're gonna get an X-ray to figure out if there's any alien implant in you. Because why wouldn't they do that? They would. If there is a cover-up, like a lot of us believe, then the Air Force would do something like that, wouldn't they? And a small percentage of those people, I don't know what the percentage would be, a small percentage of new recruits to the Air Force, for instance, are going to have. They're going to find something in some of them. Just this guy said it wasn't just him. There was 2 other people that he knew of that they found something in too, that were slated for some surgery that they didn't know why, and then they find out later on. Anyway, it's an incredible story. I guess time will tell if it's true or not, but I would have to believe that it is true. I would believe that it is true. I mean, if you accept the reality that there was extraterrestrial presence there, then you have to realize that that the Air Force would be testing to make sure that new recruits don't have alien implants inside them, and they would take measures then to have those things removed. I would have to believe that. Anyway, until next time.